Hello everyone and welcome back to LuluMath. This video is on using systems of equations to solve a word problem. This is the third video, so make sure to check out the first two if you haven't already, especially because these 7 steps are discussed a little bit more in depth in video number 1. So the first thing that we want to do is we always want to identify what you know. So as I'm reading this problem, I'm going to highlight the key information that's given to me, okay? So I know, I'm told Omar has a bottle of 50% isopropyl alcohol, so that's important that it's 50% isopropyl alcohol, and realizes that a solution of 70% alcohol is effective against bacteria and viruses. He also finds a bottle of 91% isopropyl alcohol, and we want to know how much of each bottle should he use to make 205 milliliters of this 70% isopropyl alcohol that we're looking for. Okay, so we're done with that right here. With step number 1. The next thing we want to do is identify what you want to know. I want to know how much of each bottle. Okay, so how much 50% isopropyl alcohol do I need? How much of the 91% alcohol do I need? Now, step 3 says to draw a picture or a diagram if you need to. Drawing a diagram isn't going to help me out so much with this question, so I'm going to skip that step. Step number 4 is to write specific let statements. So don't forget, you're always going to ask yourself, what do I not know? Okay, so what I don't know is how much of each bottle. I don't know how much of the 50% isopropyl alcohol I need, and I don't know how much of the 91% isopropyl alcohol I need. So we're going to let the volume, because we're trying to figure out how many milliliters we need of 50% alcohol equal X. Okay, and then we also are going to be using 91% alcohol. So we're going to say let the volume, again, be specific with your let statement, of 91% alcohol, we're going to say is equal to Y. Okay, now we're going to write our equations. Well, we know that altogether we need to have 205 milliliters of alcohol. So we're going to say that the 50% and the 91% together is going to equal 205 milliliters. So we can say x plus y is equal to 205. That part's not so bad. It's the next part that's a little bit trickier for people. Well, we know that the 50% alcohol has 50% of the volume from alcohol and the other 50% is from water, okay? So we know that the amount of alcohol that we have here is X, but only 50% of that X is actually alcohol. So we're going to say 0.5 times the amount of solution we have here, so 0.5x. Now we're going to do the same thing for the 91% alcohol. So we're going to say 0.91 times y, okay? And that's going to equal, we want this 205 milliliters to be 70% alcohol. So we know that 70% of this 205 milliliters is the pure alcohol that we're looking for. So we're going to say, we're going to multiply the 70% by the 205 milliliters to help us figure out how many milliliters of pure alcohol we actually need, okay? So let's go ahead and multiply 0.7 by 205, and we know that we're going to need 143.5 milliliters of pure alcohol here. So 0.5x, I'm just going to copy the rest of my equation down, plus 0.91y equals 143.5. So let's go ahead and rewrite our equations so that they're directly on top of each other to make things a little bit easier for us. So our green equation says x plus y equals 205, and our pink equation says 0.5x plus 0.91y is equal to 143.5. I'm going to use elimination in order to solve this. So I'm going to multiply my top equation by 0.5 right here, but I want it to be a negative 0.5, so that way when I multiply 1x by 0.5 but negative, it will cancel out with this positive 0.5 and I'll get nothing. So let's go ahead and distribute this through right here. So negative 0.5 times x is negative 0.5x. Negative 0.5 times y is negative 0.5y. And then negative 0.5 times 205 is going to end up being negative 102.5. And then I'm just going to copy down my pink equation. So 0.5x plus 0.91y is equal to 143.5. Well, negative 0.5x and positive 0.5x cancel each other out to give you nothing. So then when I add the y's together, negative 0.5y plus 0.91y, I get 0.41y. And then 102.5, negative 102.5 plus 143.5 ends up giving us 41. So now I can just divide both sides by 0.41, and I end up getting y equals 100. Well, now that we know what y is, we can just plug that information back into our any one of our equations. I'm going to use the green one because it's very simple, and I'm going to replace the y with this 100. So I'm going to say x plus 100 is equal to 205. Okay, subtract the 100 from both sides, and I get x equals 105. So I've completed step 6. I need to solve it. Let's go ahead and write our final conclusion. So therefore, Omar needs 105 milliliters of, and let's take a look what the X represents. The X represents 50% alcohol. So he needs 105 milliliters of 50% alcohol. And Y is 100 milliliters, and the Y represents the 91% alcohol. To make 205 milliliters of 70% alcohol. And we're all set with this question. Now we just need to see, does our answer make sense? Well, it should make sense because 105 milliliters plus 100 milliliters is equal to 205 milliliters, okay? And if I take this 105 milliliters of 50% alcohol, okay, and I figure out how much that's going to be, if I were to multiply 105 by 50%, I would end up getting 52.5. All right. We also have 100 milliliters of 91% alcohol. So this is 100 milliliters of 91% alcohol. So this is 91 right here. And this should equal 205 milliliters of 70% alcohol. So let's take 205 and multiply that by 0.7. Well, we already did that up here and we got 143.5. So this should equal 143.5. And if you were to add 52.5 and 91 together, you do end up getting 143.5. So 143.5 equals 143.5. It checks, it works. And that's how you solve a question like this. Thank you for watching this video. If you have any questions, please let me know in the comments or at lulumath.com. You can find these notes at lulumath.com as well. And please subscribe and share this video with others. Thanks for everything. Have a great day, and we'll see you next time.